extremism.
That would be promoting extremism.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry, apologies.
Yeah.
But what? Sorry, just a brief. What is it like? Is it a think tank? Or?
Strictly speaking, I wouldn't call it a think tank. I mean, we have elements of that, but we also are quite active.
Yeah.
So we produce reports. We deal in activism, in challenging extremism within British society.
Okay. So, sorry, this might be like an odd question, right? But what is an average day in the office for Adam Dean, for example? What do you do?
Oh, right. So, I mean, I'm the executive director.
Okay. So you're quite big. Yeah.
I have a team, and each team or each department has their own tasks, and I manage them.
Yeah.
And in my own capacity, I write things and comment on things, and so forth.
So what do the teams do?
Well, we have the theology department.
Okay. So you have people like Osama Hassan in that.
Correct. Sheikh Osama Hassan he heads the theology department.
Okay.
Then we have, for example, the arts department.
Okay.
Where we have a colleague who actually organises consolidating all our information and data and presenting it to the arts.
What do you mean by the arts?
Like, for example, theatre.
Okay.
Artwork, combating extremism. And
Right.
That sort of
Is it a charity, or is it a non-profit organisation? What is it?
Well, we're actually a charity in the US.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're not a profit organisation.
So it's not like governed by the Charity Commission.
No, we're not a charity. In the US, we're actually open up here. In the US,
So is it like a limited company which works with deficits and?
limited company.
Yeah.
Do you want the company number?
No. I really am wondering.
Yeah.
This is the line of discussion here. So, average day in the office is you've got these teams. All of them are working on various projects.
Yeah.
What's the overall aim here? So you're trying to counter extremism.
Correct. Yeah.
And how do we define extremism?
How do I define it?
Yeah.
Well,
Are we talking about violent extremism, people blowing themselves up and non-combatants and stuff like that?
yes.
Yes.
That would be a part of that. Yeah.
And how
And
successful?
extremist ideas.
Okay.
And ideas that lead on to countering. Ideas that would lead on to people committing acts of violence.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what kind of ideas are we talking about? So here we've got like two stated objectives of Quilliam. Yeah. One of them is countering extremism on a physical level, and number two is countering extremist ideas. So they're two separate things, which contribute to the overall project. Okay, so let's start with the first one. So how successful do you think you've been in countering extremism on a physical level?
See, because of the nature of the work we're doing, because we're stopping people becoming extremists, it's hard to gauge that, quantify that. But
how do you know that? What are your methods of measurement? Because I'm obviously not saying this because
I think
for whatever reason, but
I could say from a trivial point, that the kind of response that we get by members of the public supporting what we're saying.
Yeah.
I get, for example, people saying, "Well, it's refreshing."
Who was Amr ibn As' nephew, the one who conquered?
Amr ibn As.
Huh?
His nephew, I don't know.
He conquered whole of North Africa. Come on, very famous guy. And a city is named after him. Okay. Zayd ibn...
Yeah.
I'm assuming you have some things objectionable about Quilliam.
I'm just trying to figure it out.
Do you have anything that you're...
At the moment, you've said that there are two objectives, yeah? One of them we agree upon, right? So which is like combating extreme. The reason why what we're doing right now, Adam, is we're sharing a good practice, if you like, yeah? You're telling me what you've done that works, and I'm telling you what I'm doing that could potentially work. That's what we're doing. I'm not attacking you.
No, I'm not saying
or interrogating you.
Yeah.
What we're doing is we're sharing good practice, because we're both people that are attempting to kill extremism, if you like, yeah? And we're talking about physical extremism, and no pun intended with that, right?
Yeah.
So here, because every non-profit organization or organization generally obviously has its activities, but then it has its way of measuring it.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, do you have something in place which measures your success in terms of counter-extremism, in terms of actually countering people for example, changing their minds on extremism? People coming to you, testimonials, emails. Have you got anything like that? Yeah. So what kind of thing do you have?
Well, we have individuals that contact us.
Yes.
There seems to be a bit of trouble there.
No, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that.
So in terms of the response from people, members of the public.
Yes,
we have individuals contacting us and telling us that the work that we do is help them A, to understand the problem, and B, to not basically think that all Muslims are potential terrorists.
Okay, good.
We have this happening, right?
Sorry to cut you off. I apologize. I feel like your approach is way more, I would say, like in line with mainstream. I don't know, like I've seen Majid Nawaz online on various platforms or whatever.
Yes.
In my opinion, I haven't really seen much of you, right? Okay. I've seen him. In my opinion, what I've seen is that his tactic, if you like, his technique, is that he attempts to combat extremism, and probably we're talking about the second definition of extremism here, by using like liberal rhetoric, like liberalism, Enlightenment ideas or post-Enlightenment ideas, right? So he uses, like, for example, the language of moderation, the language of liberalism and these things, in order to combat what he sees as extremism. Now, what I see as an issue with this, I'm not saying it's an issue from his freedom of speech perspective. He's entitled to his own opinion. But from an effective perspective, I don't think it's very effective, in my opinion.
Okay.
And once again, we have the same first objective, which is to try and stop extremism.
Can you give me an example of a particular issue?
So what it is that he comes across to the Muslim community, and I'm sure especially Orthodox Muslims, as I'm sure you're aware, he comes across, some people have excommunicated from the main body of Muslims and stuff like that. He comes across as using the wrong tools to solve the problem he wants to solve. My suggestion to the Quilliam Foundation is that, my supposition here is, what I'm going to say is, the only way that extremism can be, in my opinion, actually rooted out from those people who we are at imminent threat of actually committing violent acts, is if we go through the traditional route. If we prove to them, through the Quranic discourse, through the Sunnah, that what they're doing is anti-Islam, is not Islamic. That's easy to do, in our opinion, because almost all of the conservative, or you say traditionalist institutions have agreed with us on this. So even Saudi Arabia, right, very conservative, but they agree that extremism is wrong. The major muftis have said this, right?
Do you not think that's a bit ironic?
It is ironic, no problem. Azhar, Deobandis, almost everyone has come to that same conclusion. So what we don't actually need is to go outside of the discourse. We can solve it from within the discourse.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
What I would say there, the problem is that how would you condemn ISIS?
Yes.
From your traditional point, when often when I hear people talking about condemning ISIS, for example, a scholar, a sheikh, for example, won't mention a name, but when they burnt the Jordanian soldier, his objection to that was not that they killed him, but the way they killed him.
Yes.
And the reason that he could only go so far in criticizing that act is because he holds on to the view of you can kill apostates anyway.
Yes, okay.
Now, I take it that you believe you can kill apostates.
I don't, look, let me be straightforward with you and honest, If you look at almost any classical book of fiqh or jurisprudence, if you look at, for example, I followed the kind of the Hanbali madhab. That's how I was taught. I was taught traditionally on the Hanbali madhab. If you open up Umdat al-Fiqh or something like this, or you open up Al-Kafi or Al-Mughni, and you see what Ibn Qudama, who's the author of this book, he says about Qatl al-Murtad and what is a Murtad and what the apostate, and almost I think there's a consensus on the fact that in an Islamic country, if the right conditions are met, this and that. But what I'm saying to you is, this is a false red herring in the discourse, because here,
I would disagree with you.
I'll tell you why. Seriously, because these are things which are relegated into the books of fiqh and the classical works. Me and you are not here killing apostates, and if we saw any Muslim attempting to kill an apostate, we would reprimand them. Okay. So what we would say is that there's a difference between that which is important. This is a very important fiqhi principle, an usuli principle. there's a difference between ta'sil al-hukm and tanzil al-hukm. Ta'sil al-hukm is in a vacuum, in a jurisprudic vacuum, how the hukm looks like. The cutting of the the thief, the male and the female thief cut their hand, etc. That's ta'sil al-hukm. We can't say that it doesn't exist in the Quran.
Yes.
It exists in the Quran. Those verses are there.
Yes.
How do we do tanzil al-hukm? That's the real question. Tanzil al-hukm is, when is this implementable? Me now, I'm a traditionalist. I'm never ever, you'll never see me say those verses are wrong. Unlike, for example, Majid Nawaz, you would say that these verses are wrong, or this is wrong, right?
You would say to apply them today is wrong.
No. I am saying tanzil al-hukm is
he will say to apply those verses today.
I don't want to straw man what he would say. I don't know what he would say, right? You're here. You can speak only on your behalf.
To apply those things
no problem.
today,
so me and you have something in common, because we will say ta'sil al-hukm السارق والسارقة فقطعوا أيديهما. The male and the female thief cut their hand. Okay, that's ta'sil al-hukm. Anyone who says, in my opinion, that this is wrong, or this asl or hukm is wrong, is a kafir, is a disbeliever, knowing full well that it's in the book of Allah. If I were to say to you, if I were to ask you a direct question, say to you, if I were to say to you, the Quran says السارق والسارقة فقطعوا أيديهما, the male and the female thief cut their hand.
Yeah.
That's when they cut their hand off. Is this a good moral? What would you say?
Depends on the context.
No. I'm just saying, in a vacuum now, is this the word of God or not? Is revelation?
Depends on
No. But listen, Adam. This is not. It depends on the context. My question is very clear. In Surah Al-Ma'idah, chapter 5 of the Quran, Allah says, we believe as Muslims, السارق والسارقة فقطعوا أيديهما. The male and the female thief cut their hand. I'm asking direct question. Is this revelation from God, or is it man-made? What do you think?
It's God's words.
So it's God's words?
Yes.
All right, excellent. So you believe that where it says in the Quran, the male and the female thief cut their hand, these are God's words?
God said that, yes.
God said that it's wahi, it's revelation from Allah.
Yes.
Excellent. Now you say now, in terms of implementation, that varies and depends on context. There's no difference of opinion between what I believe and what you believe.
But I think there may be.
You might think there may be, but there might not be.
No.
Yes, go ahead.
There may be. What do you believe is the conditions, the 700, there's a figure that's attributed to cutting the hand. Do you follow that condition?
Which one?
Of cutting the hand of the thief. Do you believe, what is the condition? So a better question is, what do you believe the conditions to be?
There are many conditions, and there are many. They're not only conditions. Conditions are called shurut in Arabic language. Yeah, shurut, and there are mawani'. So there you have. Look, we've talked about ta'sil al-hukm, tanzil al-hukm, shurut, which are conditions, and mawani', which are things which stop the hukm from taking place. Let me give you an example. In the place in which they call ISIS now, yeah, they call the area which they have inhabited or have taken over, yeah? Are they cutting the hands of the thief? Yes, they are. Yes, as far as what I've been aware of in the images.
Yes.
One of the things, Umar ibn al-Khattab, who's the second Khalif, he stopped it because of the war. One of the mawana' is if a place is in a state of war, they should stop all of the hudud. Okay, so mawana' are very important, yeah, which are the things that prevent a thing from. So I'm with you on this. Me and you have the same opinion.
No, but
we're saying that ta'silan. We're saying that
if someone steals.
Yes.
If someone steals a martba, or someone steals a bike, do they get their hand chopped off?
Not necessarily. It depends on the shurut and the mawana', on that individual, and the context.
Which
there are many. I can't detail them all now. I can't. What, do you want me to go through the whole fiqh thing?
Yeah, well, tell me what the conditions are.
There are many conditions.
For example,
if you go, for example, on the I've just cut you off. I do apologize, right? But
we know one is that if he stole for food, he's hungry. That you
impoverished and whatever. There's not many.
But there's actually quantitative amount. That if it exceeds it, then you cut it.
Yes, and when I did the translation myself, it turned out to be something like £35 sterling, you know.
Right. So if someone steals.
No one here.
1 second.
37. In which country? This country.
This country.
Yes. Okay. Good.
So you think
the hand should cut off?
Yes.
No. In this country, we don't have Islamic law and these things.
Okay, imagine we had Islamic law.
I don't deal with the hypotheticals. In this country, no, seriously, I don't deal with I'm saying to you that in this country we wouldn't go any of those things. Adam, listen to me. It's good what you said, yeah? If I were to say,
you and I are on the same page.
Yes, we are.
But you wouldn't do it.
Didn't do what?
Over £37.
In this country? None of Sharia law. It would be. Listen, Adam, listen to me carefully. Yes.
Anyway, also, had punishments.
Yeah. Let me just make this point.
There is a school of thought that actually says that had punishments can be implemented without there being an Islamic state. A community can come together.
No, which one is that?
Some Hanafis actually believe that one can actually implement had punishments.
Well, I don't disagree. I disagree with this completely.
But it's an opinion.
It's not an opinion I follow. I don't know where you got in that opinion. Can you reference it?
I don't know the top of my head now.
So I don't know it. I don't know it. As I told you before, I wasn't trained in the Hanafi school of thought.
Okay, there are Hanafis that, if I'm not mistaken, they believe that it doesn't have to be Islamic, that it can be a community and they can pass judgment.
So no, I would disagree with that entirely.
But okay, you're entitled to disagree with it, but that's an
okay,
opinion.
Islamically, it's not something which is, I don't think it's substantiated evidence. Listen, let me ask you a question, right? Let's go to the second part.
So we seem to be on the same page right now. Yes. I don't believe that you would imply that today, and also I don't believe that.
No. What we didn't say is today. What we said is you gave a.
I don't think that reality exists of the time of the Prophet.
Let me ask you a question. Which one? What do you mean?
The reality of the time of the Prophet doesn't exist today. Therefore, the ruling does not.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا. Today I've perfected your religion. I have I completed my religion.
What's the asbab and nuzul of that?
It was in Arafah. It was the last thing that was revealed. One of the last things that was revealed.
When Ramadan was completed. The ritual of Ramadan was completed.
No, it was Hajj.
It was to do with ritual.
Hajj. Yeah.
Sorry, not Ramadan. Hajj was completed.
That's right, yeah.
So it's to do with the ritual. It's not to do with rulings on society.
But Adam, do you know the difference?
So do you understand that
Go on,
to do with Hajj? So it's to deal with the ritual aspects of Islam that Allah perfected and completed.
So Adam,
right?
so go ahead.
So when we're talking about, because you know the distinction between.
Do you know how that surah, that ayah begins?
1 second. Do you know the difference between muamalat and ibadat? You understand the scholars make a distinction, right?
Well, not in all cases, but go ahead.
Well, no, it's quite commonly understood that there is a distinction between the
some
two.
muamalat and ibadat. Okay, fine. Yeah, except for
ibadat, it doesn't have a sort of rational consequence within the world, right? Whereas muamalat does have actually a rational impact on the world. For example, the public good, that we implement certain actions in Sharia for the public good. Whereas ibadat doesn't operate in that rational paradigm. It's completely there's a distinction there. So in terms of implementing and cutting the hand of the thief, the reason that you don't apply that now and you applied it then because it met the criteria of being just at that time and an effective.
Okay, good. Well, hold on. Let him speak, please, guys. Don't act like that.
I don't understand.
I don't know why he's acting like that. Everyone has the right to voice. What you've said. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. When we talk about Islam, the rulings of Islam, there are certain parameters that we have to remember. Yeah. One of the parameters.
Are you okay?
I'm okay.
No, seriously, you need to use the toilet or something. It's over there.
I spoke to you last time, same
discussion. Akhi, please. No problem.
Then you don't have to stand here.
Yeah, exactly. It's true. Look, come here. Look. Adam, it's fine, yeah?
Yeah.
What we're saying is not this. Let me ask you a question. Do you believe in democracy?
Democracy, yeah.
Do you believe in full democracy?
Democracy is brilliant.
Do you believe in it as a concept?
Yes.
Should we live by it?
Yes.
All right, no problem. Say, for example, we have a country, yeah? Saudi Arabia. And they do a referendum. And they say, look, we want to have a vote on how to deal with people who steal £50 worth of goods.
Yeah.
Okay, and these are the prohibitions and these are the conditions, whatever.
Yeah.
You have three options, guys. Option 1, we imprison them for X amount of years. Option 2, there's a fine. And option 3, we cut off their hand. Everyone in that given society says, actually, option 3 is what we want. Okay. Let's say 80% of people come back with the referendum.
They want to do that.
Now, obviously, in the UK, we probably won't have such a result on that referendum. But it's conceivable through the democratic framework that we can have cutting of hands in a state Really and truly,
no, I don't know.
It is conceivable.
No. Just because.
Yes.
Just because it's correct democratically, it doesn't mean that.
I didn't say correct. I said conceivable.
No, conceivable, consistent. It doesn't.
So
It doesn't
would
mean
you
it's ethical.
oppose?
It doesn't mean it's ethical.
No, this is a different question now, because our ethics. Where do our ethics actually come from? That's the question. Now the thing is,
It comes from God, right?
no, as Muslims we would say that, right? But now in a democratic place, we have decided, if you live in a democratic country and you agree with democracy, you decide that the majority, the majority principle is what determines how we should live our life. Therefore, if the majority decide upon X, then X is, by majority's definition, what's ethical for them people at that time. So here, ethics and morality are intricately connected, if not partners, with democracy. We're not saying that everything, and this is not what I'm saying, so don't straw man. I'm not saying that everything that comes out of the democratic framework is necessarily ethical. I'm not a Democrat with a capital D believing that it's an ultimate truth.
No, what you can say is that it's democratically justified.
Absolutely.
But is it morally justified?
No problem.
That's another conversation.
So where'd you get your morality?
Where do I get my morality?
How do you define what's objective morality?
How do I define what's objective morality?
How do you ascertain objective morality?
By using. How do you obtain objective morality?
How do you ascertain or obtain? How do you know what objective morality is?
How do you? By using reason.
Tell me one system, one rational system, by which and through which we can churn or we can reason any kind of morality.
Any kind of morality?
Yeah, because you've said reason, right? Yeah. So when you say reason, because it's a word that's quite big, right? Underneath it, you have things like logical, formal logic, mathematics, science, possibly. Yeah, all of those things are on. Sorry, go ahead.
You're talking about the topic of ethics. So
yes.
Philosophy, right?
No,
so
yeah.
Philosophy falls into categories, one of which is ethics, right? So
okay.
You can use reason and philosophy.
Fine. I'm asking. So perfect. I want you to do that to me now, Adam. I'm saying to you, because I heard that you're a philosopher. Yeah. I don't know. Are you a philosopher, right? So you're a philosopher. I would love to know one philosophical way by which and through which we can ascertain objective morality.
Well, if the way in which that we understand objective morality exists is that we attribute things that we see that are immoral to, and for it to have anything to make any sense, there must be objective morality.
No problem. I'm asking you now, how do we know what objective morality consists of using reason and philosophy?
You need to about the content.
This is what I'm saying. My proposition is as follows, right? And this is I'm putting it out there.
Okay, let me ask you a question that might help you.
Yes.
Do you think that you can only obtain morality through scripture? Wahi?
Well, it depends on what morality we're talking about.
Well, not just morality.
No. I would say that I can divide morality. So into different parts. So I would say to you, look, as Muslims, as you know, we believe in the fitrah. The fitrah is the innate predisposition of God. So God has put something in us which makes us recognize His existence.
Yes.
And within the fitrah, you have certain things, some extra, let's say, theological things, which also guide us in the right direction. For example, it might be the case that we know innately, that killing someone is a wrong thing to do. Okay. How would we, as Muslims, explain that from using our framework as Muslims? We would say it's the fitrah. So, but what we would say is that we require scripture to direct us in matters of at least a minutiae of transactional
experience. So that's where you and I would differ.
Yeah, okay, fine.
So I don't think you need scripture. I think you can ascertain rationally ethical judgments in the world that we live. I don't believe you have to have wahi.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
If you believe that, it's not a problem. You have to now. You have to prove that. So I'm asking you to prove this, because what I'm saying is that if you look at most of the works of the postmodernists, you've got people like Jacques Derrida, Bertrand Russell, Richard Dawkins, Sam Harris. All of these atheists, all of them are telling you, in Sam Harris's way, there is no neurobiological way of ascertaining, objective morality. I'm asking you. You've said that using
Sam Harris believes in objective morality.
He doesn't believe in it. He said he puts in his moral landscape in the book in a footnote in one of the end chapters. He says there is no neural.
He had a debate with William Lane Craig on.
Yeah, but I'm referencing. Yeah, so I'm saying what he said. is that there is no neurobiological way, yeah, of ascertaining objective morality. Richard Dawkins and I think a blind watchmaker.
Hold on, wait. No
neurobiological way of ascertaining.
But that doesn't mean it doesn't believe in objective morality.
No,
what that means is it escapes his paradigm.
Yeah, no. He agrees. Richard Dawkins in his book The Blind Watchmaker, he says there is no good, there is no bad, there is no evil, there is no this, there is that. They don't believe in objective morality. Look at Michael Foucault, look at Jacques Derrida, look at Bertrand Russell. Almost all of those individuals have found something out. Look at Nietzsche, Beyond Good and Evil. All of these individuals.
Kant believes in objective
morality. Who?
Kant.
Immanuel Kant, it depends on how you read him in Critique of Pure Reason. Like, for example, if you look at...
He believed in objective morality, right?
You can read him in different ways. I'm not going to make a statement about him until I see all of the...
Is it ikhtilaf on him?
It might be an ikhtilaf on him. What I'm saying to you is this, right? What I'm saying to you is, you said the way you come to objective morality is through reason. I've said to you, and I said, what kind of reason? Philosophy. You said, what kind of philosophy? It must be ethics. So, okay, I said to you, how comes we have almost all the postmodernist philosophers, almost all of the of these individuals, claiming that on, for example, materialism, on atheism, there is no objective way of finding.
But some philosophers do, right?
Pardon?
Some philosophers do.
Give me an example and give me the evidence and make the case for it.
I read a book of a philosopher, atheist in ages.
Sorry, I think thank you.
Talk, I'll search it.
No problem. What I'll say to you is this, so that's why, as Muslims, we say the wahi, the revelation, is what dictates to us, because it goes back to tawheed, it goes back to sifat, it goes back to the attributes of God. So we say that, look, Allah is all knowing, He's all wise, He's all powerful. He knows the minutiae of the sociological environment. He knows the minutiae of psychological predispositions of human beings. He knows the minutiae of biological predispositions of human beings, and therefore He prescribes, okay, certain rules for certain people. Now, that's why traditionalists like myself, okay, they hold fast to what the Quran says. Now, I agree with you.
Peter Atkins.
Pardon?
Peter Atkins.
Okay, no, but what does he say? Give me the... Look, I'm not telling you to name drop. I'm telling you to make the argument. Because I made the argument.
You didn't ask me to make an argument. I can make the argument.
I want you to make the argument on how now. What is the mechanism? What is the mechanism that we can use to find objective morality outside of... This is my question. What is the mechanism we can use to find objective morality outside of... What is the... You said one word. Give me the process.
I actually demonstrated. You didn't listen.
Go on.
I said, in order to condemn something or to condone something, there must be an objective reality in order for it to make sense. Otherwise, we can't say child abuse is wrong if you don't...
Child abuse?
Yeah, child abuse is wrong.
Okay.
Or immoral.
Outside of Islam, yeah? Outside of, now you have no religion. How are you going to find that child abuse is wrong?
Well, hold on, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So, hold on.
Objectively.
Yeah, because you believe there's an objective realm of morality.
Yeah.
Right? So therefore you can say to harm someone, harm is wrong. Harm
how would you prove that?
Well, that's like saying, how do you prove the good is good?
No.
It is.
No, that's a tautology. I'm not talking about circular arguments here. I'm saying how do you prove?
But you're asking. Look, you can.
There's different questions. Harm is good is not a tautology.
You can have
good is good is a tautology.
Have a foundation. It's like saying, how do you know that you exist without knowing that you exist? There are foundational beliefs.
These are two different questions.
No, there are foundational beliefs.
So axiomatic.
So you can believe that harming is objectively wrong.
Okay.
And to ask,
how do you...
For example, to ask, well, what's the proof of that?
Yeah.
Is a bit reductive.
So is it axiomatic? Is an axiomatic belief?
Yeah, you can say that to harm someone is an axiomatic belief, and you don't
Fine.
have to believe in the book.
So if it's axiomatic, by definition, it has no evidence.
I wouldn't say it has no evidence.
That's what an axiom is.
No, it could be a foundational belief.
No, an axiom, by definition, has no evidence.
Well, to support it. A prior evidence to support it.
So what you're saying is, you should believe, this is what you're telling us, you should believe that harm is wrong with no evidence.
No, I'm saying that it's a foundational belief.
Yeah, that's an axiom.
And that they've got no reasons to doubt that harm is wrong.
All right, so how do you prove it?
It would be... No. Okay, all right. Now, let me just...
Objectively.
No.
Yeah.
To say that now you would have to argue...
Yeah.
Now you would have to argue that believing being harmed is wrong is actually wrong. Now you would have to argue.
Say that again, sorry?
You would have to argue that believing that harming someone is wrong. You would have to say that statement is wrong.
I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying I'm asking you to prove it.
Because you're asking me to prove it.
No. That's a false. That's a false way of reasoning.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let me tell you why that's a false way of reasoning. If I ask you for proof, you're making the claim, and the one who's making the claim, the burden of proof.
Okay, because another way of proving something is to deny the opposite. So reductive ad absurdum, right? So I'd say, okay, you don't accept that. I say it's a foundation. I'm
not denying the opposite.
No, one second. I'd say it's a foundational belief, right?
Yeah, okay.
What's the consequence of denying that? That we can actually hurt people?
So what about the consequence?
So that's an evidence.
No, it's not an evidence.
That is
the
evidence,
consequence of something is not.
No, because the opposite of something.
Go ahead.
Right? If you don't accept the opposite of something, that means that it's positive. It's actually true.
If I say to you, it's an axiomatic foundational belief to believe in God.
Yeah, and you're justified in believing.
No problem. Yeah. Now the atheist has a question to ask. Prove it. Are you saying that question that the atheist asked has no foundation?
No, because the question is wrong. Because if it's an axiomatic...
Good, I agree. With that one, I agree.
So I can hold the belief in God in the foundational way.
But you know...
Wait,
Go
let me
on.
finish. Don't steal my thunder. So I can believe in God in a foundational sense, yes. I can also believe that harming people is wrong in a foundational sense.
But that can only be... Now that's perfect. Yeah. It can only be first person subjective. It can never be objective. Do you accept that?
What can never be?
It can only be first person. So if I say, look, I believe in... I experience God, yeah? That can only be first person. If now a third person...
You're talking about subjectivity. We're talking about, you've just shifted from objectivity to subjectivity, personal experience. We're not talking about personal experience.
No, first person.
You sound like Sarah now. I've done Sarah. I dealt with Sarah.
Did you deal with him?
Well, I spoke to him. We had a really good conversation. Personal experience. Leave personal experience out. Stick to objectivity.
Yeah. Okay, no problem. I'm saying to you, is there any objective way? Because what we saw with axioms, yeah, they are sometimes useful in mathematics, although they're not provable sometimes. Yeah. I'm asking.
But they're true though.
No, you can't say they're true.
No.
You can say that they're necessary.
No. There are axiomatic values in mathematics that we can't necessarily prove. They don't rely on any other truth.
Accepted. That's exactly right.
But we accept them.
We accept them. Our accepting them is not a proof.
Does the idea of objective...
Do you get this?
1 second.
Yes.
There's two separate questions.
Yeah.
Can you have Can you actually comprehend objective morality? Yes. And does it make sense without God? Those are two separate things.
Yeah.
The problem with
is it conceivable?
The problem that I have with your ideas is that you're conflating ontology with epistemology.
I don't think I'm conflating. I
think you are, because
let's define terms. Ontology is a theory of being or becoming. Yeah, and epistemology is of knowledge. So look, I believe those two things are
ontologically. I don't think we can have morality without God. Ontologically, but epistemologically, you can. No,
that's good. I accept it. I accept this. I accept this. I've never ever made the argument that you can't have morality without God. I believe you can definitely have morality without God.
But if you believe that, then why do you need scripture?
No. I've always said you can never have objective morality, and which is.
It's the same thing.
It's not. No, it's not.
It is.
No, it's not.
It is.
No, because you can have subjective morality and you can have objective morality.
Subjective morality is not morality in the sense that what we're talking about.
No. Let me tell you what I mean by subjective morality.
Yeah.
In my opinion, okay, eating pork is wrong.
Yes.
Or let's say, I don't know, chopping trees is wrong. Yeah. That's my subjective opinion. Now, for me to prove that, you're saying let's use reason. I'm saying, what is the mechanism by which and through which?
Wait.
Yeah. Think about it.
But
do you get what I'm saying?
So but
do you get it?
Yes. You're saying that you believe chopping trees is wrong.
No.
If you had the view.
No, look. If I say chopping trees down is a wrong thing, that's my subjective opinion. Now, if I want to prove this, I have to have a mechanism of proving it.
No, you have to have a basis of proving it.
Okay, no, I have to have a mechanism of proving it.
Before even the mechanism...
Let me put it in an easier way.
Before the mechanism, you need the ontology.
Okay, fine. The ontology precedes everything. The ontology precedes everything.
So is there objective morality within that discussion, example you just gave? Cutting down trees. Is there objective morality?
No, I don't think you can get objective morality like that. Objective, no.
What do you mean you can't get objective morality?
Let me tell you what I mean by objective morality.
Before the Quran was ever brought onto earth...
Yeah, we had other scriptures.
Okay, before they were brought on earth.
Yeah, okay. We had Lawh al-Mahfuz.
I guess you get at that one. I saw that one coming.
Okay, no problem. Okay.
But what I'm trying to explain, so you're saying that if we had no scriptures on the earth, the objective moralities don't exist?
No, because what I'm saying is that...
What you should say...
No, hold on. You asked me the question.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, objective morality is defined by God. That's my argument. I'm saying that you cannot...
Defined. Explain
defined. Defined. Literally, it's not an explanation.
I think I would use the word based in.
No, okay, whatever you want to do. It's all phraseological. But Adam, here's the point. Here's what I'm making to you, right? This is it's a foundational point that we need to understand, okay? I'm saying that as human beings in a sociological landscape, we are limited in what we can discover morally. One more time. Human beings in a sociological environment, we are limited as to what we can either discover or uncover as objectively moral, in our own capacities.
I used to believe that, but...
Yeah, what made you change your mind? It's the truth.
The reason I changed my mind is to believe that you can only get morality from scripture.
But I haven't said this point.
So you don't hold to this point?
No, I didn't say from scripture. I said from God. It's defined by God. Whether scriptures existed or not, God has the knowledge of it. Okay. So long as it's...
So why can't I use reason to understand...
What I'm saying is that even if you use reason all you want, there is no mechanism... Just like, for example, right? Let me say something. Let me break it down for you, right? For example, mathematics has proofs. Logic has deductions. In fact, logic is broken down into inductive logic, abductive logic, deductive, whatever, yeah? And what those systems attempt to do is they take sometimes a general and make it specific. Or they attempt to reiterate the same information. I mean, it's really interesting. Can I just make a point? Sorry, I apologize. Mathematics is really interestingly, repetitive. Someone said this to me the other day, and it's quite powerful. Mathematics. Sorry, I'm tangent. I'm going. But mathematics is basically a repeat. Like for example, 2 + 2 = 4. You're just saying 4 again, but in different symbols and expressions. 2 + 2. But at least we have a way of deriving 4, which is 2 + 2, right? Or 6 - 2, whatever it is. Yeah. We get 4. The point I'm making to you is, there is a system in place. If we want to come to 4, there are ways, it's like a map, it's like a heuristic. We can get to 4 in a multiplicity of a modicum of different ways, a panoply of ways. Now, my point is this, just as we can get to 4 is, in my case here, is the objective morality.
No, but just because,
do you see what I'm saying?
Because
how do we reach the moral objective morality using,
Just for something to be objective, it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be a systematic approach like mathematics. It could be objective and it could be very, very different from how we access it and how we make
no
conclusions.
problem, but it can only be
very jaded.
In that case,
our understanding of what is right and wrong
perfect.
Can be jaded, but that doesn't undermine its objectivity. For example,
no, you're right.
I could be very poorly cited, but that doesn't undermine the objectivity of the world.
Perfect. I agree with this point.
Or I could have 20/20 vision.
That's right. But what I would say to you is, it becomes unprovable. And in the context of a social...
I don't like this word proof the way you're using it, because...
Why?
Because there are very few things that you can prove to begin with, right, in a mathematical sense. But what I've already explained to you, that it's a foundational belief to harm people is wrong.
No, but that's axiomatic, and axiomatic by definition is non-provable, right?
Yeah, but who said it has to be?
No, but let me tell you the difference. Let me tell you the difference, right? The difference between mathematics... Think of it this way, yeah? I put this parable forward before, and I'll say it again. You have castles, and you can't build castles on thin air, right? Foundations determine the building of something. One thing that testifies to the axioms, or the axiomatic truth in the system of mathematics is consistency. Although, of course, Gödel had made the incompleteness theory and put the cat in with the pigeons with this one. But the idea is, when you have
Sorry, man.
when you have a castle